Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. According to a report by the Liberty Times, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio arrived in the Persian Gulf on a 3-day diplomatic mission to address the security anxieties of key regional allies. During meetings with leaders in the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, Rubio pledged that the United States would not take any actions that might compromise the safety of its long-term partners in the region. The diplomatic push follows a landmark agreement signed last week between the U.S. and Iran. The accord, which represents the first directly co-signed deal by the presidents of both nations since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, established a $300 billion fund and offered selective sanctions relief to Tehran, effectively concluding a 4-month conflict involving the U.S., Israel, and Iran. However, Gulf states like the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain, all of which host critical U.S. military bases and faced drone and missile attacks during the war, remain highly skeptical. They fear Iran will utilize the massive funds to rebuild its military and note that the deal fails to address Tehran's ballistic missile capabilities. Observers note Rubio faces a delicate task in balancing support for the Trump-backed deal with reassuring anxious allies. According to a report by Liberty Times, citing Reuters, the Trump administration plans to push forward a military sale of dozens of jet engines to Turkey. The deal, valued at over $700 million, involves engines manufactured by General Electric and is intended for Turkey's first domestic fighter jet. The Can analysts view this move as a significant gesture of goodwill by the United States ahead of the NATO summit scheduled to be held in Turkey this July. However, experts note that while the engine sales will be welcomed by Ankara, it remains a far cry from Turkey's ultimate goal of returning to the F-35 fighter jet co-development program. Under U.S. law, Turkey is barred from participating in the F-35 program as long as it operates the Russian-made S-400 air defense missile system. Nevertheless, U.S. Ambassador to Turkey Tom Barrack previously indicated that the close personal relationship between Donald Trump and Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has allowed the two nations to engage in discussions on the matter. The Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs has declined to comment on the report. According to UPI, the United Nations Command, UNC, stated on Wednesday that North Korea's recent construction activities inside the Demilitarized Zone, DMZ, such as fencing, road repairs, and landmine installations, do not violate the 1953 Korean Armistice Agreement. The UNC clarified that these actions are permitted for defensive purposes as long as they remain north of the military demarcation line and do not involve heavy weapons. This assessment directly challenges the stance of the South Korean military, which recently defined North Korea's border fortification campaign as a clear violation of the armistice. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff emphasized that they are closely monitoring the border developments and will continue to coordinate with the UN command to prevent escalation. The UNC is currently investigating whether any of the North Korean fencing or minefields have crossed the dividing line. If a crossing is confirmed, the command plans to demand its removal through existing communication channels. Since April 2024, North Korean troops have been actively clearing land and fortifying the border under orders from leader Kim Jong-un. According to a report by the Liberty Times, the Philippines has temporarily blocked the violent mobile game Gorebox following a rare school shooting that left 3 students dead and over 20 injured. The incident occurred on June 22 at San Jose National High School in Tacloban, Leyte Province. The suspects are 2 teenagers aged 14 and 15, who opened fire inside a classroom, claiming they had been bullied at school. Initial police investigations revealed that the 14-year-old suspect was an active player of Gorebox, an R-18 rated first-person shooter known for its extremely violent gameplay. The Philippine Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center decided to temporarily block the game to assess whether it played a role in the suspect's behavior. While police noted the 14-year-old was heavily influenced by online violence, researchers emphasized that scientific studies have yet to prove a direct link between video games and real-world violence. Currently, authorities have filed murder charges against the 15-year-old suspect. However, the 14-year-old, who allegedly played the game, cannot be prosecuted under Philippine law due to his age. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.